Now he's headed to Israel, somewhere that he should have gone in his first year of office. 5 years later, he makes the trip, and there's tremendous pressure on him to clarify his murky and muddled positions. So, what can we expect of the president, and what will the Israelis and the Palestinians be asking of him? Let's ask Abe Katsman. He's an American attorney and political commentator living in Jerusalem. He serves as counsel to the Republicans Abroad Israel and is a columnist for the American Thinker. You can follow him on Twitter at American Thinker. Abe, thank you so much for joining us. This is a very big day and an important day, I think, in American-Israeli relations for the country, and all eyes will be on President Obama. So what are you hoping President Obama will accomplish while he's in Israel?
Well, I think one of the things that the people in Israel hope is accomplished is a strengthening of the ties, and I don't just mean that in standard diplomatic speak, but when President Obama went to Egypt a few years ago during the several trips to Arab countries where he skipped visiting Israel, he spoke in Egypt about in essence, moving toward the Arab world, the Muslim world, and distancing himself somewhat from Israel. And speaking about Israel, instead of talking about Israel in terms of its historical rights, its return to the only homeland the Jewish people have ever known, he spoke about it as if it was just, that this is just something like an atonement for the Holocaust. And then went ahead and equated the plight of the Palestinians with the treatment of the Jews during the Holocaust. This did not go over well in Israel, as you might imagine. On this trip, there seems to be a focus on touring, taking a look at things from a broader historical perspective. He's going to be going to view the Dead Sea Scrolls. He's going to be seeing certain historical things that emphasize the connection of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, which is something that I think the people of Israel don't have a lot of trust in, that he feels in his gut. Actually, one of the nice things that I think they're doing, a nice blend of old and new, they're going to be presenting him with a gift, a tiny nano chip, 4/100ths of a square millimeter, that is going to be engraved through some process that I don't even understand, with both the American and Israeli declarations of independence. And this chip is going to be embedded in a stone tool that was actually used 2,000 years ago during the Second Temple period.
Wow.
So I think there is this idea from Israel's side that maybe they can press ahead, they can get maybe deepen the feeling that President Obama has for Israel.
Well, let's hope that he accepts the gift and doesn't send it back like he did with Churchill's statue. Let's hope he also doesn't, in return, give you an iPod loaded with some of his greatest speeches for your listening pleasure, Abe Katsman, because I do think the Israelis would shake their head at that. All right, so why are the Palestinians protesting this visit by President Obama?
Well, the Palestinians are protesting for a couple of different reasons. Now, it's not all there are so many different factions among the Palestinians, but at the core, I think that the problem is that, believe it or not, they feel that that the president is too pro-Israel. But more than anything, I think they're trying to get a certain amount of attention. I think that they are trying to hammer home the point that they cannot be ignored and that they have to be factored into that the possibility of violent behavior, of another intifada, that has to be factored into any sort of peace negotiations or any kind of plan that the president might come with.
Mm-hmm. You have an excellent column out that I was reading earlier. You write that there used to be two foreign policy schools, and we've actually been hitting on this on the show today. Basically, the neocons who are very into this democracy promotion idea. They're the idealists. Then there's the realists who think that the neocons are unrealistic and they're overextending the United States and our policy. I fall into that camp, admittedly. Now you write there's a new school of foreign policy, the surrealists. Explain why you find the foreign policy of the Obama administration in that surrealist category.
Well, the biggest issue is that there seems to be a willful reimagining of the reality on the ground. For instance, you see with the new CIA director, John Brennan. This is somebody who still talks about jihad in terms of a personal struggle and claims that anybody who refers to it as anything other than that doesn't understand Islam. Well, I think, as I say in that column, that might come as news to an organization like Islamic Jihad. If you just listen to the words of the terror groups, the statements like that are laughable. And while I think I don't have anything personal against John Brennan, I think he's actually been a loyal public servant. But this is not the man you want in charge of the CIA. Somebody with that view, and there's no check or balance. Chuck Hagel is no better. John Kerry is no better. This is somebody who, even a couple of years ago, was still advocating that the Golan Heights be turned over to Syria, to President Assad. It really is surreal for anybody who's actually living in this region to listen to the types of statements that are coming out of these people, and these are the closest and most important advisors to the President of the United States. I don't know that the President's own views are a whole lot different, but if these are the people he's appointing, there is a real problem in terms of just understanding the reality on the ground. And like I said, you can look at it from a neocon perspective, you can look at it from a realpolitik perspective, but this does neither. This just is fantasy. And you read, Henry Kissinger doesn't think very much of this. Neither does Richard Pearl or Paul Wolfowitz. It's across the board. I don't know what constituency there is for this, but there are not many serious analysts of the region, of the history, of the necessary strategy that see things the same way as President Obama's closest aides.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. It's not even they don't understand the history. It's almost like some of them do, and they don't care. They're choosing to, as Chuck Hagel is, be bizarrely pro-Iran. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And it is troublesome. I mean, it's not just the people that he surrounds himself now. It's the people that President Obama surrounded himself with in college. I mean, he had very openly anti-Israel professors like Saeed and others that give me heartburn because I think, what are his policies? Let's hope that he's able to accomplish some pro-Israel goals while he's there. And I would say strengthen the relationship that has been in question. And I think a lot of Israelis feel the same. Abe Katsman, thank you so much. Abe is an American attorney and political commentator living in Jerusalem. You can follow him on Twitter at American Thinker, and his latest piece in thetimesofisrael.com, Neocons, Realists, and Surrealists, is excellent. It is an excellent read. Make sure to check it out. Abe, thank you so much.